This is the KRMG Afternoon News with Skylar Cooper.
It's Tuesday, and it's time for the BA Breakdown with BA City Manager Michael Spurgeon. He joins us live. Hey, Michael.
Skylar, how are you? I hope you're having a good Tuesday, my friend.
It's a little bit like a Monday, but it's still a good Tuesday. Hope
Yes.
you're doing all right.
Doing well. Been looking forward to visiting with you.
Yeah, I got a few questions about roads. I know we talk about that a lot, but I understand that based on that survey the city of Broken Arrow did some months ago, a lot of people who live there talk about roads a lot. And that survey, I understand there were quite a few responses. And I saw where it's being looked over and that recommendations will ultimately be made to the city council, kind of looking ahead to the 2026 general obligation bond package. So hearing all of that, I just wanted to ask you about the planning process when it comes to big road projects, because I know it's easy to sometimes think, well, if you find a road you need to work on, just go work on it. But in this case, you're kind of demonstrating that it can take years of planning. So how does that all line out, especially involving this survey and then the GO bond?
Well, let's talk about the survey first. Let me share with you how important roads are to Broken Arrow citizens. The survey that we did earlier this year, the total survey of all city services, received around 4,000 votes in a month or so of being put out. In 21 days, we did what we're calling the roadway improvement survey, and we got almost 3,100 responses. And so clearly, roads are a top priority and obviously have always been in our community, especially in a fast-growing community. So that's number one. Secondly, is we got some great responses. It did receive in the overall survey 40% a positive rating, which means there's opportunities for improvement. And so this is just another opportunity to get the public's input on what they believe is important. So as I build the recommendation I'm going to be submitting to the council, I want to make sure I've got the public's pulse as it relates to what roads they think should be upgraded. So that's exactly where we are right now.
Now, along those lines, let's look at some stuff that was recently done. We've talked about them here, but Albany in front of the high school, that's 61st Street, and then 23rd Street, which is County Line Road, those sort of things. Are those examples of projects that were planned many, many months, if not longer, in advance?
Absolutely. The projects, for example, on County Line Road that you mentioned between Omaha and Albany was an approved 2018 general obligation bond package project. The voters overwhelmingly approved. I just want to mention this from a more 30,000-foot view. We still have 10 to 12 miles of roads to be widened from the 2028 bond package. And it does take time because we have to sell the bonds. We have to do the design. Then there is the relocation of utilities. And then there's the actual construction. So a project can take approximately 3 to 5 years, depending on funding, depending on the relocation. So these projects for County Line Road, for example, was something we started talking about back in 2016, 2017. And then we just have to work through the priorities in terms of what roads need to be widened. And so I'm going to be putting more information out in the next couple of months about what roads are remaining, because I don't want the public to think that we've forgotten about anything that they approved back in 2018.
I don't know how much you come over to South Tulsa, but we talked a whole bunch for a lot of years about Signal Hill, Yale between 81st and 91st, and it just finished. And over the weekend, I drove County Line Road in Broken Arrow from Kenosha down to Houston, 71st to 81st, where the bridge has just been replaced over the highway, and it's all wide now. And it kind of occurred to me that that's sort of like Broken Arrow's like a miniature Signal Hill, because it was sort of similar. It was up and down a hill. It was curvy. And the finished product is a lot straighter, and it seemed to me a lot safer.
I was on Yale about 10 days ago, and it was absolutely amazing, not only compared to the way it used to be, but the design and actually the flow of it. It was an amazing project, and it's going to be great for South Tulsa. I agree with you about the project that we're near completion on County Line Road, and I'm excited about it. I'm also excited about the other mile that's a couple of miles to the north between 51st and 61st, because that is also going to be a road that will eventually be 5 lanes. It's going to have a new bridge. It's going to have a sidewalk, a trail. It's going to enclose some of the storm sewer systems along the roadway, because that's where there's a lot of traffic in our community. And so the voters approved it. We're in the process. We've got to amend a couple of contracts tonight on the council agenda, Number one, we received a great federal grant of about $6.5 million. So we've got to incorporate the federal Department of Transportation standards into the actual design. And then secondly is because we have so much going on, we're going to use contractual help to do some assistance with some right-of-way acquisition on that project.
Broken Arrow City Manager Michael Spurgeon with us here on the KRMG Afternoon News for the BA Breakdown. I noticed, kind of looking at the calendar, that Scotfest is coming up, and you and I have talked about how it's moving this year because there's the amphitheater construction and changes to Events Park underway. So they're moving over to Central Park on Main Street. That's where Rooster Days happens for folks who don't know the name of it. But I was curious if that's going to look like a standard festival out at Central Park where they kind of shut down Main for a couple of blocks. And will it be a similar setup to what we see for Rooster Days?
Yes, it will be. And I just, for everyone to know, because I know this is the 44th year of Scotfest, and it's a very important event. It's one of the city's signature events for the Scottish and Irish festivals in the state of Oklahoma. Unfortunately, we had to move it this year, possibly next year, depending on the amphitheater, to make sure that it's safe for everyone that's going to be attending, which there are thousands and thousands of people that go over the 4 days. So it's going to look very similar to a festival that we've had there before. It's on the 13th, 14th, and 15th of this month. And we appreciate Scotfest working with us. And we're excited about the fact that they continue to be in Broken Arrow, and we want to encourage everybody to come out.
Michael Spurgeon on the BA Breakdown here this Tuesday afternoon. Hey, listen, I'm going to be out of the state next week, so I won't be talking to you, but you'll have Miss April Hill sitting in, so I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Okay, you have a great time and travel safe, my friend.